And whenever I...
Yeah.
Quarantine dads.
Quarantine dads.
What is this, week 6? Back from the brink of the liquor run?
Oh, yes. Very much so.
Which we've discovered is its own universe.
Yeah, let's not do that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon again.
I'm Andy.
I'm Micah.
And we are quarantine dads. A couple of dads, neighbors, fighting
Friends.
through the end times, hanging out together, drinking a few cocktails, talking about some things.
Yep.
This might be the lowest energy episode we've done. And I'm excited for it because generally when I'm low energy or when we're low energy, we get a little bit contemplative. So we'll see what comes out. But this is by far the lowest energy we've been when we've pressed record.
This is going to be an interesting recording. I think that we're both kind of gassed from the weekend, and last week's recording was a lot of effort.
Honestly, I don't even think it's that. I think, not to turn it into a legit quarantine episode, but I think last week was the turning point.
Where you're just kind of over it?
I'm over it. I'm over, in a lot of ways, the people I'm dealing with, because I have a very small office, as we've talked about, and I continue to go to my office because no one else is in it, so at least it gets me out of the house. But my business, thankfully, not a complaint, has not suffered. But without going into a lot of detail, I work in a high conflict interacting with people all day business. And so to manage other people's stress while managing my own, I think last week was finally the breaking point where it's just like, I'm done. I'm over it. Let's move on.
Oh, man, yeah. Last week was a very, very long week. And for a number of reasons, I think, for both of us. But we got to do a lot of cool stuff this past weekend. There was no birthdays.
No.
There's
birthdays.
one this week, but...
We had, 3 meals together this past weekend?
Yeah, because we did brunch, too.
Yeah, we had dinner Saturday, we had brunch Sunday,
Yep.
we had dinner Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Our children probably played together a combined total of
20 plus hours.
I mean, easily 15 just on Saturday and Sunday, and I don't know what they did later in the day Friday because weather was nice. Mm-hmm. And then they circled back today with no school here in Minnesota, or at least in the district we're in, and we built them a playhouse
This weekend.
over the weekend. And my wife this morning sent our children out to eat breakfast in the playhouse at about 8:30. And I believe your children joined them.
Yeah, after they ate breakfast. I said they had to have breakfast before they could come outside. But as soon as they realized that there was motion in our house and that our kids are sitting at the table having breakfast, I heard the sliding door just go shh, and your daughters just start talking, and I'm like, okay, girls, they have to finish their breakfast before they can go play outside.
Yeah, so that was about 8:30, 8:45, and I finally broke up the soiree at 4:30 and sent all the children back to their respective homes. It's a solid 8-hour shift.
Yeah, it is. And both the girls... So 2 things. Number 1, power to you. Hats off to you for tolerating them today in your house.
I needed the day, man.
Yeah.
I was glad to do it.
Awesome. They came back in and they were just... You could tell they were gassed. I'm sure yours were.
Oh, mine rolled around. They were like fighting it, and they were praying to God they didn't get their second wind. You know, that exhausted second wind where now they're rolling around in bed for an hour and a half
and
they
irrational.
refuse to sleep.
Yeah.
And they refuse to let you leave their room in the process. And I told my oldest, we're not going there. You need to roll over, and 2 minutes later she was just out. So enough about our children.
Yes.
Because I'm sure we'll talk about them more. But this week's Cinco de Mayo.
It's Cinco de Mayo.
And you wanted to do something special today.
Yes, I did.
For Cinco de Mayo. So, what do we got?
The 5th of May.
It is
we
the 5th of May.
actually decided to change it up from bourbons and ryes and take a little trip south of the border to a nice mezcal. You know, I think a lot of people really, really enjoy tequila. Not a lot of people really are as familiar with mezcal. I think it's becoming more and more prevalent and more known.
You swear by it, though.
I really
You
like
really
a good
enjoy
mezcal. I mean, I like a good tequila, but a good mezcal, especially if you like peaty scotches, because mezcals are typically known to be smokier, really are a good smoky drink. And they're made with agave, and we'll get into all of that, but...
Or will we? We may just skip it all. We may just drink it and move on.
Drink it, move on. So here, cheers. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Thank you.
And so the one that we've actually selected, and I've had it several times before, and I really like it.
By we, you mean you.
Yeah, I picked it.
I had no part in this.
Yes. So first of all, Cinco de Mayo is on a Taco Tuesday. Like, that's significant. For anybody like...
It also seems a very American observation of you.
It is a very American observation of me. But we can pretty much count on my daughters anytime they realize that it's Tuesday and we ask them for food. It's tacos.
Absolutely. Ours too.
Yeah. So it's 40% alcohol, 80 proof. What do you think? It's pretty smooth.
Yeah, I've had mezcal before. I haven't had it straight. Mm-hmm. I am not a huge
drink tequila
this type of liquor person. But I will say that when I've had it, it's when I'm at a good bar that I know makes a good cocktail, and they have an interesting sounding cocktail that has mezcal in it. Mm-hmm. Because I know that it's going to have some smoke to it, and that's what always makes the cocktail sound interesting, depending on the other ingredients that they have in it. Is I think about, well, that, with the addition of the mezcal smoke, I think I want one of those.
Right.
So that's when I've had it.
Nice. Yeah, and I've had this one before. I really like it. This one is actually their unaged. So unaged is considered... this is illegal mezcal, and that's the brand. Illegal with one L to start instead of two double L's. Good, great bottle. It's... So just like tequila, they're both made with agave. They both have the three classifications of kind of unaged or silver, if you see Patron silver. And that's a 0 to 30 day age. 30 to 90 day is reposado, and then añejo is 90 and on. And I might be a little off on that because it might be 30 days to 6 months, and then 6 months onward. But we didn't do any research, and I don't plan on double checking myself. But I know that's the age brackets that they have.
But unlike, well, both like and unlike, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because this is just from memory the few times I've been in tequila bars. Mm-hmm. That have a lengthy menu, and they take the time in their menu to explain things. That the age, much like other liquors, doesn't mean that you can't get a good mezcal or a good tequila that's younger. Right. That just is that age category, the defining category. And some people would say that they would prefer to stay in one category versus another because taste profiles change and things like that. Am I correct?
You're absolutely spot on. And I like all three tasting categories of kind of your tequila and the agave spirits, right? Because let's just break it down. It's an agave spirit. That's what it's based on. And, this is really good in kind of citrus drinks. Mm-hmm. We'll probably do some margaritas with it tomorrow. I think that'll be really good. Do a spicy margarita with some mezcal.
That'd be good.
And I think I really like to drink the younger mezcals and kind of the silvers and everything like that.
You can do some spicy salt on the rim?
Yeah, I do have that chili lime salt that I've got. Yeah, do that on the rim. Yeah,
I just invited myself over. You hear that, folks? That's what I do basically every Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, but I thought we were planning on doing Taco Tuesday.
I have no idea. I don't pay attention.
Neither do I.
Well, that's kind of the state of the world, though, right now, honestly.
It's rinse repeat.
I think that's what's got me low energy tonight is, as I was saying, there's just that turning point where I'm still someone who takes things very seriously, still is very much trust the scientists, and I think, like everyone else, there's that itch now. And in Minnesota, I think this is everywhere, and in Minnesota, once the weather turns in the spring, you always get that pop of energy. Golf courses open, people are outside, the vibe really changes coming out of winter, and the fact that that's just further delayed, I think is part of it too. Yep. And I know a lot of people that are dealing with the same thing, and it's not meant as a complaint by any means, but this is an interesting, I don't know what the word is, case study in stress and anxiety and the conversations you have with yourself about
a litmus test of the human condition.
Yeah, there you go. And it really is, you want to be appreciative for things, health, family, work, and yet the system is so, at least for me, my system is so overloaded that it's hard to balance. And a lot of the internal dialogue is, I swing one way, and then it starts to feel a little too good and a little too comfortable and a little too normal. And then I swing the other way, and I start to criticize myself for not being more appreciative that I'm healthy and my family's healthy and I have a business to go to and I have clients and I have work. And it's just this constant vacillation between the two, and it's fucking exhausting, frankly.
Right, and it's almost overcorrection sometimes on one spectrum or another. You're just kind of like, screw it, and then you think about it, you're like, well, I really don't want it to end up being, I don't want to end up being the person that gets everybody sick in my family and everything else. And so it certainly is an ounce of caution. Yeah, it's definitely an ounce of caution. We caught grief from our wives about going to the liquor store and not putting masks on, which we probably should have done, but
yeah,
I'm just it's to that same level of like kind of just over it.
Mm-hmm.
Going back, we've talked a little bit about music before, and actually on the Denzel episode, when we were talking a lot about You Should Have Won an Oscar, talking about Nine Inch Nails, and then I think to myself, yeah, every day is the same. And when you wake up and every day is the exact same routine, the exact same thing, there's no break, it becomes very monotonous.
Right.
And I think that's why, as Minnesotans, we really look forward to the break and the monotony being that springtime, right? Because we're used to kind of sheltering in place. We don't do as many social things. I mean, we shelter in place naturally.
It's like the first 60-degree day, and it's like, I'm free!
Freedom! Yeah, and it's just... That's exactly it, though, right? It's like, freedom... Oh, wait. We can. Right? So I will comment, you don't drink tequila often.
Yeah.
Or mezcal.
That's already gone.
And that's already gone. It was good, though.
It's very good.
It's very smooth. I think that's one things I really like about it. Is it's a nice, smooth cocktail. I actually put my jigger in there, but that's 2 ounces anyway in the little tasting glass. We're measuring now as a result of last week's endeavors.
Yeah, so
somebody got a little heavy-handed.
We had the liquor run last week. First one we've done. Learned a lot about a lot of things. A lot about ourselves. A lot about drinking at 3 p.m. But
yeah,
I actually texted you midweek and I said we should probably talk about what we learned from the liquor run. So number one thing that I learned is when we do the liquor run, reminder, 4 bottles, single tasting, 4 bottles, we're tasting them all. We must have a jigger present while recording. Because to watch me attempt to pour things when usually when we're only doing one, it's easy to get maybe a touch heavy-handed and it's not a big deal. But when you do that on number 1 and then it doesn't slow down.
And you forget every single time you're pouring, because you were pouring the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was a shit show. No other way to put it. It was a shit show.
It was.
I have a notebook that I've been keeping every single episode and every single weekend. That I think there are several pages that are now stained with bourbon and wrinkly because of Andy spilling on my desk.
So thing number 1, keep the jigger handy. That's what we learned.
Yep.
So next time we do this around July 4th, jigger will be present.
Right. So, and I think that's a good thing to drink in general. If you're going to have a couple of cocktails,
absolutely
measure it.
Well, yeah, you don't go to a bar. I mean, if you go to a bar and you order a nice cocktail and someone's just eyeballing it, you're probably in the wrong establishment.
I would counter that as, if you're in a bar to drink and they're just eyeballing it, have you been down to our local bars down here at the bottom of the hill?
Oh,
because
okay.
they eyeball them.
No.
And
There's a difference between being somewhere and saying, what am I going to have? I'm going to have a rail gin and tonic tonight. Yeah, you don't care about heavy-handed. You want bang for your buck. I'm talking about you go to an establishment and you go, you got some nice bottles behind the bar. I think I'll have a Manhattan with my steak. And then you watch the bartender eyeball everything. You're probably in the wrong place.
Okay, yes, contextually,
Look,
location.
I went to college in a small Midwestern town. The volume is what you pay for when you're in small towns.
Absolutely.
That's all there is to say about that.
I remember, well, that's got to be 15 years ago now, going down there for my 21st birthday, and like Saturdays were, right after I turned 21, Saturdays they had dollar rail drinks.
Oh yeah.
Down there, and
Down
there. And Jack and Coke was on the list. That's what I drank when I turned, and it was like I could go down there with a 20 and just get completely shit faced.
Yeah. So
that's the young binge drinking though. Like in college and
I may have told you this story, but again, small Midwestern town, small liberal arts college, one of those campuses where the size of the campus increases the size of the town by about 25-30%. Mm-hmm. And there was one college bar. Not that we didn't go to others, but there was one college bar. And I worked the door at it for my junior and senior year. And I'm not a large individual. And at the time, I was smaller. Then I was 160, 165, and only like 175 now. But I was good on the door because I knew most of campus, especially people who were out regularly.
Yeah.
So that was my role, but one of the things
So you're saying you were there so much at the bar that they just decided to give you a job?
No. I had the larger... none of them were meatheads. They were lovely individuals. But I had a handful of friends who were the larger door guys, so it would be one of them and me. I was not the one that was stopping shit if it went down, by any means. I was going to talk everyone down, but I would not necessarily step in. Like one of my friends did when he saw someone sucker punch someone else, and they both went down to the ground, and the guy who threw the sucker punch, who was not a small individual, he was a football player, so he was 5'8", 5'9", but he was a safety, so he was like 190. Yeah. Later, I believe, actually ended up in jail in a state down south for attempted murder, but that's a whole different story. But my buddy reached down, put him in a full Nelson while he was on the ground, picked him up, and held him in a full Nelson in front of him with his feet kicking off the ground like he was a little kid, and walked him out the door of the bar and just dropped him in the parking lot and walked back in. So I could not do something like that.
That's like the Patton Oswalt stand-up we were just watching, right?
Yeah, it is actually, now that I think about it. Yeah. But when I would go, especially when I worked early, the bartenders, obviously I was there when I wasn't working, the bartenders always gave the bouncers mason jars of water. Well, at the time, I was drinking vodka tonics when I was out. So two of the bartenders would, if I had the early shift, just be like, "There you go." Slide my mason jar across so I could go set up the door, and it was just a giant vodka tonic with not much tonic. But I could sip that throughout the whole night and be relatively okay by bar close, and do my job completely functionally. I mean, it wasn't like it was a high stress job, but that was. Yeah, the volume liquor in small towns is fantastic. And when you would come home on break to the Minneapolis area, and you would go out and you would order the same thing that you would order with your buddies down at the college bar, that you'd get for $20, maybe $25, and that included a $3-4 tip at a minimum to the bartenders, was now an $80 round in Minneapolis.
Oh yeah.
Man, I miss small towns.
And that just gets back to we live in a smallish town.
I was born in a small town.
Okay, we're not singing. I mean, I know we've been meaning to talk about music, but...
Is John Cougar Mellencamp singing, or is it melodic poetry?
It is melodic poetry.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of, what are you listening to? Anything new? Because you and I have different... Let's set this up a little bit. You and I have somewhat different musical tastes, and we've broadened some tastes, but we come at the musical spectrum from very different ends most often.
I have been listening to a lot of kind of newer music. There's Catatonia came out with a new album that's really good. It's more of kind of a jam, melodic metal. I know we had it on during brunch.
You played them the other day,
Yeah.
and they immediately reminded me, at least a couple songs I heard, of when you got me into A Perfect Circle.
Yep.
A little bit more of that.
Just chill jam band,
Yeah.
kind of just relaxing. Very calm voice, no real heavy aggressiveness to it. And so it's kind of something nice to just chill out to. I'm really weird with my musical preferences. The angrier and more aggressive the music is, the more I relax. And I know quite a few of my other friends that are kind of in that same space of like music is an escape. Music got me through high school, got me through a bunch of stuff, and so the heavier the music is, the more just it makes me focus. It's actually, my wife spends a lot of time. She can tell what I'm doing in my office if music's on by the volume of the music and how aggressive the music is.
Yeah.
If it's kind of like slower, like the Catatonia, or just rap or some light rock, metal, kind of lighter metal, and it's not really that loud, I'm just kind of plugging away at the keyboard, working on email probably and everything else. If it's really loud, really aggressive metal or harder rock and everything like that, I'm actually trying to focus, because turning up the music like that really gets me into it. So on the heavier side, Bad Omen has a really good new album, which I know a lot of people are probably going to be like, I've never even heard of that band, but
I have actually heard the band name before.
Probably from me or
maybe
somebody.
from you.
Yeah.
I won't say it's not from you. I will just say I've heard the band name before. Couldn't tell you anything about them.
Yeah, that's more death metal. But then you got me into Joyner Lucas, which I just love the ADHD album too. So that's been on a constant like playback loop for me.
I have 3 that have been on a loop. I have Joyner Lucas, who I stumbled into.
Can I guess one of them? After
In
you
a
finish
minute.
that, yeah.
Joyner Lucas that I stumbled into, I don't know, a handful of months ago, one of his songs, and that I decided about a month and a half ago, probably right before all this stuff hit the fan, so probably end of February, early March, I decided to put on his album and listen to a few other things because I kept seeing his name come up, and he was on mixes that I kept going to because hip-hop is... I mean, I'm a white kid from suburban Minneapolis. Like, I make no delusions about my knowledge of hip-hop culture. Like, it is not me.
No.
And hip-hop is one of those genres that I've grown to love over time. It has pockets, I think, like everybody, that doesn't identify with it as their main source of music.
Right.
There's pockets of hip-hop from my upbringing that have taken me back to very distinct points of my upbringing.
Right.
Certain artists, certain songs, I can tell you where I was, who I was with, how we listened to it, what we thought of it, everything.
Yeah, and I can do the same thing with rock songs, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's the nostalgia to individual songs and things that put you in a place.
I think you and I could probably sit down and do that with music generally.
Yeah.
And hip-hop wasn't ever a main component of that, but it was a very distinct component when it was, right?
Like one of the first times you ever heard Eminem, right?
Well,
that's a huge one.
Because we're that TRL generation. So Eminem is obviously huge for that TRL generation. I think some of the crossover stuff, too, when you get into...
The Jay-Z Linkin Park crossover album.
Jay-Z Linkin Park was huge when we were, at that right age.
Yeah.
I think there were other things when you look at Dr. Dre, when you look at Snoop, that they were, it was pulling into the mainstream in a way that was commercially appealing at the right age for us to get into it more. Right? One of the best books I've read in the last few years, by the way, if you want to borrow it, it blew my mind, was Gucci Mane's autobiography.
You've said that before, and I may take you up on that, because I know you've spoken very highly of that book to me several times.
One of my favorite reads of the past 3 years. But Joyner Lucas, I listened to more of the album, so I had that one. And then there's 2 others that I was going to say, and I'll pause here to let you guess.
Megan Thee Stallion?
Oh, God, absolutely. So like, Megan Thee Stallion on loop. Like, it's the swear to God, if you looked at me, you'd be like, oh yeah, he listens to Megan Thee Stallion all the time. And what did it for me
I've got it stuck in my head of like, who that bitch? I'm that bitch, still that bitch. And with a little like jingle to it.
Rich Bitch Shit Got a Broco Bitter is one of the best rap lyrics I think I've heard from an earworm. Like, I love it anyway, but from an earworm standpoint, I walk around my house and all of a sudden that just comes out of my mouth for no reason whatsoever.
So this gets back to the... Like, I really hope our kids go back to school this fall, because I could see you picking up your daughters from school, or me pulling up and picking up the kids from school, windows down, to take things home from Bert Kreischer, just like Megan Thee Stallion just bumping, and just see what, like, all the teachers and principals are like, that is some explicit content, and he's got no qualms about playing that.
I mean, the first time I really heard about her was summer of 2019 through friends, but it really didn't register. And then I came back to her, and I don't remember if what really piqued my interest, either way, it was in the last couple months. And I don't remember if I started listening to her more, and then I came across it and just kind of fell in love with how good she is. Mm-hmm. But she's got an NPR Tiny Desk concert. And it is amazing. And that, for me, was the first time I think I heard Reeler. And I was like, okay, I have to go find that song. And Savage is awesome, and Savage has the TikTok dance and everything else. And she just redid Savage with Beyonce.
So I saw that come across my YouTube subscriptions, and I haven't watched it yet.
Need to.
Need to? It's good?
I need to as well. I've listened to a bit of it, but I wasn't finding where the whole thing was. But Reeler is like the song for me of hers.
I like
to put
Savage too. She's pretty good at like a couple of the other ones.
It's awesome.
You've gotten me definitely on that side. Yeah. Like I think our musical preferences kind of join in rap. A lot of crossover there.
And to talk about music and work, granted, the staff I used to have doesn't work in my office anymore, but my assistant that I've had for the longest knew if she came in the morning and I was in early and she heard any sort of rap out of my office, she wouldn't even say good morning to me. She'd just hang out in her office until I came out and said hi, because that's my early morning. I'm ready to be productive and get into 2-3 hours of work by 10 a.m. That's what's on.
Yeah, if I need to get into some computers, do some app dev, programming, that kind of stuff, it's loud rock music. It could be loud rap music as well. It just needs to be loud to kind of, I don't know, it's a focal
Where
thing.
rock
It's
doesn't
like
get me in that space.
Focus,
loud isn't the thing. I think it's it's got to be just the beat and the pacing and the tonality and everything else. But then the third one is I've developed a new favorite artist. He was already kind of there, and this is very much not hip hop. But through quarantine, he is. I don't know that I have a bad song. My kids now are, on their Echo Dots are starting to play it, especially my oldest, one of his songs in particular. But it's an Irish singer-songwriter named Dermot Kennedy, who I'm just in love with.
Yeah, I know you've thrown him on a couple of times.
I haven't heard him do a bad thing, and I'm so pissed because I had tickets to see him at the Myth, which is a smaller club
in Maplewood on the northeast side.
Yeah, on the northeast side last October, and I had saw Lewis Capaldi, who's another. Well, Capaldi I think is British. No, Capaldi's Scottish. But I saw Lewis Capaldi. I was going to a Gopher football game, the week before. I was going to a Gopher football game on Saturday. Dermot Kennedy's tickets were on Friday, and I didn't have anyone to go with, so I just bailed on it. I tried to give them away, and no one wanted to take them.
You tried to get me to go, and I was like...
And I'm so angry I didn't go now, because within a month after that, I didn't realize that his full new album came out, and I've listened to him nonstop ever since.
Yeah, we've... Well, even, going back to the TRL comment, I think I had thrown on... Korn had released a new album, and then they did because of...
Korn was my entry into hard rock.
Right. And I remember you saying that, so that's why I was going back to the TRL, because we were talking about TRL, and Got the Life by Korn was the first song that they ever retired from number one on Total Request Live. because
such an amazing video.
Yeah, it was an amazing video. That, Freak on the Leash, a lot of those, and I found out, interestingly enough, their fans are called Colonels.
Interesting.
So, like a Colonel.
I mean, it's better than Juggalos.
It is better, way better than Juggalos. Yeah. The funny, yeah. So they released basically a private concert that they had. And they were going to go straight to DVD, and ultimately they were planning on touring with it, but because of all the COVID stuff, they decided to just release it on YouTube. So that's what I was watching the other day when you poked your head in. And I was kind of sitting there, you're like, is that Korn? Is that new? And I was like, yeah.
Is it? What I love about Korn is that his name is Jonathan Davis, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's the most plain frickin' name ever for a lead singer of a rock band, it feels like, especially a band like that. There's no, like, gimmick to him. There's no, he didn't create a stage name, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you choose to do, but it's just like, who's that? It's Jonathan Davis.
Oh, yeah, so we got Jonathan Davis, and then we got Head, and we got Fieldy, and, like, and those are the other members of the band, and they've all got names, and you're like, what the hell?
Fieldy, what are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? I don't know. Jonathan, what are you doing?
Not John.
No, not at all. Not John, not Johnny.
Jonathan. That's like the guys when you sit down at the meeting and you're like, what's your... And you're like, hi, I'm Micah. You're like, hi, I'm Andy. My name's Andrew.
Yeah.
They correct you with that and you're like, I'm calling you Andy because.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
Is it Freak on a Leash or Got the Life that's the video, or that's the song that toward the end has the... And then he breaks it and says, go!
That's Got the Life.
Okay, I thought so.
No. When he's doing the something on the boy, something's go. That's Freak on a Leash.
Yeah. So
because that's the bullets going through all the screen and everything. And they're shooting through stuff.
So it's not Got the Life that I was thinking of. It's Freak on a Leash is the video that was.
Got the Life. They destroyed a Ferrari.
Yeah, but Freak on a Leash with the bullet was this new... It felt like this new genre of video at the time.
And that was right in the same timeline of, like, I think they did the same camera magic that they did in The Matrix, because that was right when The Matrix had come out.
Yeah.
And they were shooting... Like, it goes through that cafe, like, and it's going through glasses and everything else, and it was super cool that they just slow it down.
There are 3 rock songs that come to mind from that time period for me. It's Freak on a Leash...
Please say, like, Break Stuff or Nookie by Limp Bizkit.
Faith by Limp Bizkit.
Faith by Limp Bizkit, yep.
And then More Human Than Human.
Rob Zombie.
Yeah, because More Human Than Human, in part because it was harder than other things, but it was still mainstream, like it was still 93X, right?
So, actually, More Human Than Human originally is White Zombie, so I have to correct myself. But Rob Zombie started White Zombie, actually owns the rights to it, so now Rob Zombie will play More Human Than Human when he does concerts.
So, White Zombie was this thing, again, white suburban kid. White Zombie was a little bit taboo for what my parents were okay with me listening to and not listening to. Yeah. Like, when I was I think it was about 14, I tried to buy TLC's CD Red Light Special, and my mom was like, no. It's like, what? It's got waterfalls on it. It's a good CD. She's like, no, you're not getting it. And it wasn't until years later when I was like, oh, it was the Red Light Special. Oh, I get it now. Okay. Because she read it, and I think it's Red Light Special, it's Creep, are all on the same album. And so my mom's reading the songs at, like, Sam Goody. No, you can't get that. And I was baffled as to why I couldn't.
Age, like, Sam Goody, for what it was so awesome.
Think about this, though. Our entire generation, if Columbia House and BMG hadn't existed...
Oh, my God.
Had not existed...
Those contracts were ridiculous.
But if they had not existed...
We wouldn't have the musical genre that we did.
What would our generation's musical taste look like? Because they were completely shaped by the idea that you could do something like that. That you could order 10 CDs at once for a low price. You didn't have to go to Sam Goody.
Under the age of 18.
Right.
Which was ridiculous.
And you could, and obviously, I mean, whether it was tech or whether it was not caring... You could have like 5 different accounts if you knew what you were doing. So it was just 10 free CDs all day long. But what would our generation look like if we didn't have those?
If you didn't have that, if you didn't have torrenting, right, and Napster, the predecessor to Napster and everything else like that, and I did a lot of IRC channel stuff, like way back in the day.
You're going to have to define IRC for a
Internet
like me.
Yeah, internet relay chat. So it was just all it was basically a chat room that you'd hop into, and you could actually do posts to say I want this, and you could transfer files through the chat.
Yeah.
So it's basically Napster put a GUI on what was already being done, and to this day, some of those ones are so much better, and the feeds are so much better with the content and everything else. But that's how I got a lot of my music. I mean, I purchase all my music now. I have a really good collection.
Music in air quotes.
Yeah. We're not going there on this. But yes, an adolescent teen.
Go on.
Go on.
Not about that, about what you were talking about.
Yeah. But that Columbia House, I still remember, and I know I've told you this story of, like, I asked for Rammstein's Mutter album from my parents for Christmas, and I got it.
Was Du Hast on that?
Mutter, no.
Okay.
Du Hast was on Schenschucht. That was one of their first, and I already had that.
Was Du Hast in Reservoir Dogs, or was just the video a play on Reservoir Dogs?
The video was a play on Reservoir Dogs. And so, like, I've been a really big fan of Rammstein for a really long time, even though I don't speak German or anything like that. And I just really liked it. And so I got Mutter, and I just remember going down Christmas Day and, like, throwing it in my Sony, turning it on and, like, turning it up. And my mom comes down, like, 5 minutes later. She's like, "What are you listening to? Turn this crap off, blah, blah, blah." And I just, like, hold it up, and I'm like, "You bought me the album." And she's like, "Oh." And just turned around and walked back up the stairs.
That's funny. So the funny thing is, at the same time my mom was telling me I couldn't get TLC, she let me get Inner Circle, because for some reason I was into reggae. But that was, "Girl, I'm gonna make you sweat until you can't sweat no more, and when you cry out," and then I don't remember what the lyrics are. So, like, Inner Circle was sex-addicted reggae.
Oh, yeah.
But the songs...
So it was a play on what Sting was going for?
Yeah, right. No, it wasn't tantric. The songs were just not labeled in a way, because they also...
the whole red light thing.
Right,
yeah.
but Inner Circle also did Bad Boys, the intro to Cops.
Yeah.
That's Inner Circle.
Yeah.
So my mom didn't pick up on the fact that it was probably just as explicit as anything else. Right. I went through a really hardcore... I kind of miss this phase. I secretly hope my kids develop this phase as they're teenagers.
Are you about to say you went through a hardcore reggae phase?
No. I went through a hardcore, like, candle lighting and music phase. And the reason I went here is because Inner Circle reminded me of Bob Marley. And Bob Marley is Bob Marley.
Yeah, iconic.
We don't need to say anything more about Bob Marley. He's Bob Marley. But Bob Marley was one of a handful of artists that I would, as a teenager, and maybe someday we'll go down this rabbit hole. I'm not going to today. But light a candle in my bedroom, play some Bob Marley, turn the lights off, and just kind of sit and not meditate, but just stare at the flame and just drift off to wherever.
See, that was Tool for me.
Okay.
So, like, Tool, I'd throw my earbuds in or throw my headset on and just sit there, and I could just stare at the ceiling and just or close my eyes and just listen and rock out. I cannot listen to A Perfect Circle or Tool in the car on long road trips because it puts me to sleep.
Makes sense.
Just because it's such a relaxing, and it puts me just in such a calm mental state.
Well, not only is it relaxing, but the song length of some of their stuff.
Well, yeah, Tempest, they won a Grammy for, is a 17-minute long song.
Yeah.
Which is a fantastic song. And just I laughed my ass off because they released their new album the same day that Taylor Swift released her last album. Yep. And they beat on the Billboard, they beat Taylor Swift, and she was pissed because she had no idea who Tool was. Because they hadn't released an album.
I don't think it was... No. Let's be fair, because I love Taylor Swift.
I know you do.
I don't think it was Taylor Swift so much as Taylor Swift fans
were like,
yeah. Taylor Swift was not upset about Tool.
Her fans
who are not old enough to understand who Tool is and why Tool is what Tool is,
right,
were very confused.
Yeah.
Because they just thought it was probably some like new band that burst on the scene, and how could they beat Taylor Swift versus... No, this is an iconic rock band.
Not a band that the last album they released is 10,000 Days, and it hasn't, like, and I think that came out in 2008.
Yeah, it had been
12,
easily 10 years.
Yeah, it had been 10 years since they released a final album. And if you actually read into it, Maynard has since come back, and actually a lot of the other artists, a lot of, like, Danny, the drummer and everything, is like, we've had this done, like, 2 years after 10,000 Days has come out. It's just, we didn't want to disappoint our fans.
Wow.
And they just kept perfecting it and changing it and modifying it and changing it. And they've all since kind of said, yeah, we should have just gone in and then just released it when we did. Because they have such a following and they do such good music, in my opinion.
Well, and let's talk about Maynard for a second.
Yeah.
Maynard's a really interesting guy, right? Because he is not only...
Three of my favorite bands
Three of your favorite bands,
yeah,
which I know what three bands they are. Mm-hmm. They're Tool, A Perfect Circle, which I already mentioned, and then Pussifer.
Mm-hmm. And I see them every time they come to town.
Right.
No matter, what genre.
And he also is he'd be considered the vintner, right?
Yes, he's the vintner and purveyor.
Camus?
Caduceus.
Caduceus, excuse me.
Caduceus and Merkin Vineyards.
Caduceus, which you turned me on to because not only...
I was an early member.
That's like when you and I like really figured this out. Is at first we were standoffish as neighbors. We were okay. We were feeling each other out, and then I'm not going down the 4th of July story. I'm saving that for the next liquor run. That will be told on the 4th. The origin story. The next liquor run will be called the origin story.
Yes,
because we will get into that. But that's like, we just seem to have interests that overlap enough.
Yeah,
but are different enough that we can pull each other in certain directions that even in our late 30s kind of open each other up to new experiences and new tastes and trying new things because we overlap in interests, we don't overlap in the genres of those interests.
Right. And like great example is the VIP experience that we went to for A Perfect Circle.
That was awesome.
With the tasting
Love that.
of wine beforehand. Mm-hmm. And it was just I'm aching for another concert. And I don't think anybody that listens knows, but like a good Saturday afternoon is me cooking, kids upstairs playing, and I've got a concert on at a decently loud volume, and I'm just cooking.
Loud enough for me to hear in my backyard if your windows are open.
Yes.
Yeah. I've noticed.
Yeah.
I try to yell at you to get your attention over the music, but it never works.
No.
But the other thing about Maynard, and
I love live music,
is that he's a jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
And he's long way around, but where he seems to, at least in my world, pop up when it comes to jiu-jitsu is training with the black belt in California, a guy named Dave Camarillo, who gave my original instructor his black belt. So I've met Dave a few times. He's a phenomenal martial artist. Mm-hmm. He is a generous human being. He is one of those guys that is a lifelong student.
Right.
And
never stop learning.
Yeah, and when you get to know him, you probably know he knows a lot more than you about a lot of things, but he's also incredibly gracious with his time and his expertise. And whenever I see Maynard, it's because he pops up on like Dave's Instagram page that Maynard came through town, or Dave was in an area where they happened to overlap, so then Dave will go train with him. Right. And it's always either Dave and Maynard or small group stuff, but I think he's a purple belt now. Yeah. So I have something in common with Maynard, I guess.
Do you know that Machine Gun Kelly is also a purple belt for jiu-jitsu?
I don't want to talk about that.
I'm just going to throw that out.
No, I just give you a hard time.
I know you are.
Every time you bring up Machine Gun Kelly, I give you a hard time. I did know that. There are a lot of people that train. I mean, it's become such more popular in the last 10 to 15 years. I've trained 10 years.
Do you think MMA is a big reason for that?
there's no way not to say no.
Right.
I think it's a reason for it. I think it's probably a significant reason for it. I wonder how much MMA is the reason for it, because MMA exposed this style where you could learn a combative art form that didn't involve getting punched in the face.
Right. First, that's boxing, right?
I would love to learn boxing. I have no desire to get punched.
No.
None whatsoever. No. I was never a wrestler. At this point, there are certain wrestling things I can learn as part of jiu-jitsu, but there's no need for me to be a wrestler. I didn't wrestle since the age of 5, and I didn't wrestle in college. So I think that might be part of it too, is if you're interested in these disciplines, jiu-jitsu brings a lot of them together. If you take out the striking, it's got wrestling components, it's got judo components, it's obviously jiu-jitsu. So it's a really interesting mix of things within the art of jiu-jitsu. And but to answer your question, I don't know how it grows to the extent it has without a mixed martial arts influence.
Right.
Maybe it's one of those things that would have made its way to the U.S. eventually and been a niche but grown enough where people could kind of identify it. But now, that's how I explain it to people. When I say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and they don't know what I'm talking about, I say, okay, I don't like this analogy, but I'm going to give you really basic. Have you ever watched a mixed martial arts fight? And they go, well, yeah. I go, okay, take out the punching, kicking, striking,
so it's all
and that's jiu-jitsu
and everything. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so you start on your feet? And I'm like, well, yeah, if you're in a jiu-jitsu match, you start on your feet. So now, obviously, you want to get to the ground in some way and submit someone, but you start on your feet, so that's where you get the wrestling components and the judo components. But really, everything once you hit the ground is jiu-jitsu.
So that's a good explanation. Well, not your favorite analogy. I think it's a good explanation.
Yeah, I think it's a good basic for anyone who looks at me like I have 3 heads when I say I train. But yeah, Maynard trains, which is kind of cool. Like, in the back of my mind, I hope to one day be able to just end up on the same mat as him. Because I think it'd be a cool experience because he is so who he is.
He's anybody that knows the mystique around Maynard, he's a very unique individual and he's very reclusive. Mm-hmm. I think one of the coolest parts that I really like about Maynard when he's in, I mean, outside of Pussifer, because that's actually a way different experience, and the one time I saw Pussifer in concert was fantastic because it was at the St. Paul Theater and it was done as a play style, and so it was very well orchestrated. He did a monologue to open. Like, it was a completely different feeling than a concert. Mm-hmm. The cool part about when we go in and you start talking about like a Perfect Circle and Tool, which is more concert-ish. Well, they are concerts, so not necessarily concert-ish, but he's actually not at the front of the stage. He's not the limelight. He actually sits right behind, traditionally behind the actual drummer. And so, like in Tool, he sits behind Danny Carey, and it's, you see his shadow. He's meant there to add meaning and feeling to the music itself, but the music is meant to sit as the forefront of that. And so it's a really cool kind of perspective to a change in dynamic when you have the drummer in front of the musician or the singer, because they're all musicians, right? But have all of your players there and stuff and everything. It's really cool.
I thought that was probably the most interesting thing about going to a Perfect Circle with you is seeing that dynamic and seeing Maynard in a non-Tool setting, because I know him through Tool, and through you I got to know him as those other entities. And I'll be honest, from a music standpoint, Tool is not my favorite of those entities, of what you've introduced me to. And it never has been. Tool I knew of back in the day, too, to go back to like a rock conversation and things like that. I mean, Tool was definitely around enough in the early 2000s and whatnot that I knew they were a big deal, but they never caught on like some of the other bigger rock acts did for my tastes. And A Perfect Circle did, but to see that same dynamic was really interesting. And then I don't know that I'll ever forget, and I'll let you explain this, but I'll ever forget how excited you got at the end of that concert when Maynard And it was this weird thing that I didn't understand the significance of, but you did, which was Maynard said something to the effect of, "Thank you. You are now allowed to use your phones and take your picture and take whatever pictures you'd like. Security, stand down."
Yep.
And Maynard left the stage at that point.
He walked off.
The band wasn't done yet,
No.
but your face, like, lit up.
Yeah, because that's my experience has always been my favorite thing to do is take a picture of the "you can take pictures in here" sign. And that is no joke. I've seen people kicked out. I think we actually saw a couple people removed from the show.
Are you talking about the mid-50s woman who wouldn't stop crazy dancing?
She was shit-faced, but
I think she was on something other than
booze. Yeah, there's definitely other things involved. That was definitely one of the people removed. But no, I've seen people kicked out of Tool concerts. I've seen people kicked out of like all of his concerts just for taking pictures, and you get one stern warning. But those concerts typically have double to triple the amount of security that they normally do. And it's designed around being, you're there to, and I know the reason why they do it, and I completely respect it, because I don't like to take pictures when I'm out on a vacation, and that's the first thing everybody asks me, "Oh, you got any cool pictures?" I'm like, no, I have a lot of really cool memories, because I was enjoying the moment rather than being worried that I captured the moment.
Bands who take that on as a practice, I really do appreciate.
Yep. And that's really what it's coming from, is hey, you're here not so that you can hold your cell phone up and block somebody else's view, so you have a shitty recording and a shitty audio recording because of the decibel level that you're in and the fact that the mic can't handle it. But you're there to enjoy, and it's an experience. And they do truly, I think, A Perfect Circle, Tool, Pussifer, all put on just such a fantastic experience. Tool is always hilarious because they never say who the opening act is, and the opening act is always a shit show. The last time I saw them, it was a hardcore gangster rap group. So literally, like, a guy walked out with a MacBook, set it down, hit play, and then they started rapping. And it deadpanned the whole entire audience, and, like, everybody's silent while they do their thing, and then all of a sudden, like, they get off the stage, and then Tool comes out and does their whole thing.
I mean, the opener for A Perfect Circle, when we saw them, started criticizing the first 15 rows for not being more engaged with him, who were the 15 rows of high-dollar VIP that were there specifically to see A Perfect Circle.
And we were there. Yeah,
and he started criticizing them for not being more engaged with him, and we looked at each other like, well, this is going over well.
Yep. Yeah.
But you were excited because that's not something you'd experienced at one of their shows before, that they had made an overt announcement, take all the pictures you want before the show ends. And you had said something at the time, and I don't know if this is still the case, but that you had read some things that, because of Tool, because of some other things, that it appeared from chatter that A Perfect Circle was going to be on an extended hiatus at the very least, and you thought maybe that was part of the reason for that.
We had a private meet and greet, not with Maynard, and his name's eluding me right now, but the actual creator of A Perfect Circle, and I feel really bad that I'm forgetting that right now because they're one of my favorite bands, but you can
edit it in post.
I know I could edit
with your newfound editing skills. You could just drop in his name. You could record 10 seconds and place it right over that.
I could. I won't, just because that's extra work.
Why would you?
Why would I? When that came up, it said, like, listen, Maynard's super busy with Pussifer, he's super busy, again, with Tool, his vocal ranges are expanding, and, like, he's really trying to push his vocal limitations, especially on the Pussifer side. You know, he kind of left it open-ended there.
Right.
But
it was
interesting. There's been a lot of chatter about that for a number of years. About him.
And someone actually had the stones to ask the guy in a meet and greet small group setting, what do you make of you and Maynard, all the stories about you guys not getting along? And I was like, I understand if maybe that's even true.
No, there's a ton of rock news about them getting into fights.
But still having the stones to be like, I paid good money, I'm going to ask you this question. And not having it go completely off the rails was impressive.
Yeah, he had even called out and he goes, well, I don't know where people keep getting that from. And the funny part was he actually responded like he'd had that question before. Like, that was not the first time that
he was well trained to answer that question for a variety of reasons.
Oh, yeah.
But let's circle back to the mezcal for a minute.
Yeah.
What are we drinking in front of us? Because I don't think we laid it out as we poured.
We transitioned
to the deep dive of music.
Yeah, and we could talk for music.
Yeah, we could. This could be a 3-hour show.
Yeah, it's not going to be.
No, I need to go to bed.
Yes. So one of my favorite things, I mean, a margarita is a margarita, and if you're looking for a smoky, spicy margarita, a mezcal is going to fit the bill for that kind of any day of the week. I'm a big fan of grapefruit. I really, really like palomas, and so that's what I made. I actually took a Bon Appetit recipe and kind of embraced it with a good mezcal. So we've got 2 ounces of mezcal, 2 ounces of ruby grapefruit, freshly squeezed, probably another 2 ounces of squirt. But Mexican squirt with cane sugar in it. I tried one of these the other day with just the can of squirt that wasn't Mexican with the cane sugar, and the syrupiness just really comes through. This is, and the squirt from Mexico that's made with the cane sugar is a lot more tart, and it's not overly sugar.
I just find it gentler too.
Yeah,
when you mix these in the past for me.
Yeah. So it's really good. I mean, you get a smoky, citrusy, really good on a hot day, right?
And this is Illegal Joven Mezcal, right? And
Illegal Mezcal, and Joven is the basically silver or whatever. Yeah.
And on air production, are we rating this week and doing a review of it, or are we just going to say, hey, it was Cinco de Mayo and we felt like doing this and move on?
I mean, we could rate it. I would rate it pretty high from a tequila or mezcal standpoint, just because of the fact that I've bought this bottle several times, and this is kind of my go-to. I'm
curious what you would rate it, because I don't have a lot of frame of reference to rate it against.
No, and I mean, I'd probably go 7.4, 7.5 on it. Like, it's a decent bottle. Like, I was surprised that when you took it, you took the first sip, you kind of looked at me like, this isn't as bad as I thought this was going to be. No,
it's smooth, it's smoky, it's got some nice... It's got a touch of brightness to it, but I really like how the smoke that's what it is. From an enjoyability standpoint, I'd put it between an 8 and a 9, but again, I have nothing to compare it against.
Well,
but here's what I would say. If someone said, hey, I'm not completely offended by tequila, it wasn't my... tequila wasn't the source of my worst night in college, and I can never touch it again. Type thing.
Cuervo 1800,
right? And they said, I want to try it. Well, Cuervo 1800 holds a special place in my heart.
Mine too, and I can never drink it again. So, are you in the same manner of that as well of 1800?
I'm not, and that's all I'll say.
Okay.
This bottle. Like, if my parents wanted to make something with tequila or mezcal, I would say go pick up this bottle and know that they'd be comfortable enough that they'd enjoy it in a mixed drink.
The only thing that I would say with this is it's a $55 bottle, which gets to be a little bit more on the spendier side, but it is a nicer bottle of mezcal.
Which is fair. Yeah.
And that's the only reason I kind of give it a couple of point knocks, because... I mean, listen, the agave plants take a really long time to grow.
They're a finicky plant.
They're a finicky plant. They don't require a lot of care and feeding once they kind of start. It's a long growth period. It's a long growth cycle. Tequila has to be made with, per the regulations, it has to be made with blue agave. Mezcal is all of the others, right? So it's your rectangle and square kind of analogy.
No,
it's good. I really, really like it. I'd say 7. I mean, I would even go to 8.
Yeah.
Just based on the fact that I keep buying it time and time again.
Yeah, that says something right there.
I purposefully go look for this bottle when I want a mezcal. I really don't deviate because I don't have the knowledge of that broad spectrum like we do with bourbons and ryes and those kind of spirits. So the whiskeys, a lot broader genre. This is my kind of go-to.
But speaking of those, so this is your go-to this week. For Cinco de Mayo, but next week we'll be back and we'll shift back into
bourbons.
bourbons or whiskeys. We haven't talked specifically, but here's what we do know. Just to tease a little bit as we switched the gummy bears out for bottle caps this week, so it was a very different episode all the way around. It was mezcal and bottle caps instead of bourbon and gummy bears.
Right.
What we do know next week is that we're going to do our first Minnesota whiskey.
Yeah, and a actual, Minnesota whiskey is going to be pretty awesome. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, that's going to be the first one we do, and there's a growing community here in Minnesota, and so we're excited to get into that and start to incorporate those a little more into what we're doing, because that's obviously what's nearby. Those are the places we can visit. Those are the people we can, at the tail end of what's going on with this, those are the people that we can hopefully get to know a little bit better and not just, pick up a bottle in the store, but take a visit to their distilleries and hear their stories. So we're excited for that. But otherwise, anything else to add this week, or else we'll just wrap it up?
I think we wrap it up and just, you know what? Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Be safe. Have fun.
Yeah, and follow us at Dad's Quarantine on Instagram, at Dad's Quarantine on Twitter. Also, quarantineddads.com has episodes, has our reviews. We're going to start to put a little more content there for some of the things we talk about, whether it be music, books, other things, just so that there's a reference point. So, by all means,
we've been doing all of the cocktails, right? So we've had the nightcap in there, and I've gotten a lot of really positive reviews about quite a few of those.
The nightcap, the cocktail we do, Mike always throws those recipes up as well. So check us out on social. We're on the web. Leave us a review. Give us some feedback. We're on iTunes and Spotify, so a review would do us a whole lot of good as we continue to press record every week. So anything else to add, Micah?
Well, as always, don't go outside. This one's going to be a special one. Don't go outside. The chupacabra may get you.
Cheers.
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 Cheers.